Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
A tragic accident occurred in Ekona, Muyuka subdivision, southwest region today. The collision involving a bus and a truck is believed to have claimed at least 18 lives, including the bus driver. And also, as the presidential elections draws near, calls on President Buea to step aside rises to the sky. This time around, the call is coming from a gathering identified as intellectual patriots. They wrote a letter to the President of the Republic asking him to step down. They are denouncing bad governance and the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Also, in the same vein, residents of the Northwest and Southwest regions are at a crossroads. Years of unfulfilled promises and ongoing conflict have left many wondering what they can realistically expect from the next president of Cameroon. What does the future hold for these communities? You'll be getting the reactions of the people, of course, in this newscast. Those are top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 6 p.m. edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. We'll begin with a sad story. At least 18 persons are feared dead after a fatal road accident that occurred this afternoon around Ekona in Muyuka subdivision of the Southwest region. The accident involved an 18-seater bus that was heading towards Buea from Kumba and a heavy-duty truck descending towards Muyuka. Onlookers say both vehicles had a head-on collision, resulting in the death of the driver of the bus and several others. We shall be giving you updates on this in our subsequent news edition. Away from that, to tell you something else, shock and dismay hit inhabitants of Loom in the Mungo division of the Littoral region as they witnessed a tense confrontation between a gendarme officer and a driver in that locality. According to reports, the driver refused to stop at a control post established by the Special Brigade at the southern entrance of Loom, specifically at an area known as Permanence. During the dispute, the gendarme allegedly used a rifle on the driver, causing him to lose consciousness. He was rushed to the Protestant Medical Center for urgent medical attention. Fortunately, the latest updates indicate that the driver is recovering. Meanwhile, the gendarme involved has been taken to the Loom Territorial Gendarmerie Brigade for his own safety. And now we talk something else. Dobian village in the North Makumbing Camp Division cries out for help as a vital bridge project lies abandoned. The contractor's exit without completion has left residents struggling to navigate the Maho River, a challenge that worsens with the approaching rains. The villagers are now pleading with the authorities to step in and salvage the situation, as Magic Gabriel tells us.
Commercial motorbikes struggling to cross the River Mahu in North Makumbi in the Nkam Division Littoral region. After braving the odds, the bikes will be turned upside down for any water in the engine to get out of the machine. Many bike riders have lost their identification documents trying to cross the river. Look at the bridge. They came to full us that it will be set within 6 months, but before its completion, there will be a provisional bridge. Every day when I pass here, I run a risk of being taken away by water. I have even lost my birth certificate, identity card, and motorbike documents. River Mahu, situated in the heart of Ndobian, headquarters of North Makumbe, is a natural boundary separating 4 different chiefdoms, and they have been in serious problems since 2018. We are going through a very difficult situation since 2018 when the other bridge was taken away by water. A contract worth over 1.5 billion francs CFA began, but later it stopped.
Le projet a été abandonné. On ne sait pas par quelle
With the rains already falling, it makes it difficult for bikes and those on foot to cross the water, even though it's alleged another contract has been given to a second enterprise. Many doubt if it will be completed. We don't know if the second rehabilitation announced will be achieved, reasons why we are calling on the highest authorities to put an eye on the people of Nord Makumbe for the problem to be resolved. Remnants of a project to construct a bridge over River Mahu could still be seen as contractors abandoned the work for over 10 years now. About 250 people have perished as a result of the lack of a bridge over River Mahu.
Now we talk politics. CPDM communicator Robert Kedia weighs in on the party's nomination process, stating 50% is still a pass mark, just like 100%. To him, there is no confusion. His comments come amid reports of internal divisions within the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM party, following recent statements from high-ranking officials such as René Manuel Sadi and Jacques Famendongo confirming President Paul Bia's candidacy. Malaglary spoke with CPDM militants to understand their perspectives on the apparent disarray.
The conflicting statement from Communication Minister René Emmanuel Sadi and Higher Education Minister Jacques Famendongo regarding the candidacy of long-serving President Paul Biya continue to make waves across the country. The situation has led many to believe there is a deep confusion within the CPDM party. However, party militants insist it is merely a political strategy.
And where many people are getting things twisted is because they don't understand how communication goes in political science. Professor Jacques Famendongo, he's talking in capacity as a politician and a spokesman of a political party, where his language is supposed to be, of course, persuading the listeners. And it is true, the 50% show that President Paul Biya is a candidate of administration. He respects that President Paul Biya. He himself has to give his own 100% confirmation.
Contrary to the interpretation of many on the 50% of René Emmanuel Sadi that this refers to the president's age, which according to them should be an obstacle to his candidacy. CPDM communicator Robert Kedia goes further to say Paul Biya's age is just wisdom and shouldn't stop him from being the next president.
President Paul Biya, with regard to age, has that democratic decision himself, and nobody needs to handicap his age. Age is not handicap. The constitution does not say above 90, above 80, you can't be a presidential candidate. And with regards to his health, he is doing well.
However, the head of state has not officially declared if he will be candidate in the upcoming presidential elections or not. Though Professor Jacques Famendongo stated that as the party's president, he is automatically CPDM's candidate.
Is the government of Cameroon falling apart? A question emerging from conflicting stands expressed by some members of some government over some key issues of national interest. Babla Jonathan looks at some instances of conflicts within the government in the following report.
Conflicting ideas and opinions emerging from the same source, the same government looking in different directions, two or more government officials in some cases putting on different administrative or political garments, expressing divergent opinions and stands on some issues of national interest. The most recent example is that of the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson in that capacity and the Minister of Higher Education in the capacity of Communication Secretary of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM party over the possible candidacy of the head of state and national president of the CPDM. While the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson René Emmanuel Sadi talks of a 50% possibility that President Paul Biya could stand or not as candidate in the forthcoming presidential election, Jacques Famendongo, CPDM Central Committee Communication Secretary, states categorically that President Biya is the candidate of the party. Minister René Emmanuel Sadi highlights the fact that President Biya had said when the time comes, he himself would say if he will seek re-election or not. But Minister Famdongo cited Article 27 sub 3 of the Internal Rules and Regulations of the CPDM to sustain the argument that President Paul Buea is the candidate of the party. Before that, another contradiction manifested within the governing mechanism on the subject of the bad state of roads in the northwest region and the town of Bamenda in particular. Public Works Minister Emmanuel Ganu Jumisi and Housing and Urban Development Minister Celestine Kecha Kutes explained what was being done and what is yet to be done about the situation, making promises of major road projects to the tune of hundreds of millions of francs CFA. On their heels, Professor Nalova Lyonga, Minister of Secondary Education, came up with an outburst of anger provoked by the deplorable state of roads in Bamenda and called on competent authorities to avoid making promises they may not be able to fulfill. Some years ago, while the Prime Minister spoke about government's resolve to put all subjects on the discussion table to find solutions to the Anglophone crisis except cessation, the Minister of Territorial Administration Atanganji Paul said over the Cameroon Radio Television and France 24 that the form of state is non-negotiable, thus excluding conversations on issues linked to the form of the state, including federalism, from any possible dialogue. In 2024, Public Health Minister Manauda Malachi launched an operation to mitigate the consequences of the widespread consumption of hard drugs on the health of the population, targeting, among other things, ending the consumption of water pipes, commonly known as shisha. But the operation was banned by the Minister of Territorial Administration, who instructed governors to prohibit it.
In other news, as Cameroon gears up for the 2025 presidential elections, calls for President Paul Biya to step down are growing louder. A group of intellectuals have penned an open letter urging him to pave the way for new leadership, citing the nation's interest. Babla Jonathan sat down with one of the letter's authors to discuss the appeal and the future of Cameroon's leadership. His report.
University dons, lawyers, civil society and opinion leaders pushing for President Paul Biya to hand over the leadership of Cameroon to someone else. In an open letter to the head of state, they are asking him not to seek re-election in the forthcoming presidential election.
Do you want us to continue? Do you want? We are fed up. We are tired, exhausted. What are you expecting from us if you maintain your candidature as the next president of our country for 7 more years? What? And what do you give us a guarantee that tomorrow will be better than yesterday? That you still deserve our confidence? Because it will be difficult for us.
According to the authors of the letter, the Biya regime has failed for the past 43 years to improve on the people's deteriorating living conditions.
When you see at our TVs, medias, the state of the roads coming from the city Douala, going to the villages, all the villages, balance sheet of the president of negative. More than negative.
There are fears that chaos could erupt should President Paul Biya stand for re-election and possibly emerge victorious.
People are exhausted. They are nervous. They don't have time to wait anymore. They did it. Cannot say that they didn't. They did it. Now it's time for you to say, yes, okay, this time I will do my best to make this stop. I will retire and leave people. Try with somebody else who is also Cameroonian like you. I leave someone else to be the driver of our common car, Cameroon.
Meantime, while militants and officials of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM political party are divided over a 50% or 100% possibility that President Biya will seek re-election, he himself has not yet declared his intention on the matter.
Still talking on politics, inhabitants of Buea, chief town of the southwest region, have described the current troubles within the ruling political party in Cameroon as evidence of a regime at the verge of collapse. While voicing their preparedness to vote out of the current government, they have renounced the statement made by some elites of the Southwest region recently during a meeting with the Secretary General at the presidency, pledging total support for the incumbent. Rest Afon put together their opinions in the following report for the 6 p.m. news.
As the countdown to the presidential elections in Cameroon intensifies, the people of Buea are also getting themselves prepared.
I am very prepared because I have my voter's card already.
Personally, I've been telling my friends to not just only wish for change, but to go and register, because if they need change in Cameroon, it's from the ballot box.
We have already arranged our voter's card. I've been registered and I'm waiting for the right moment to choose for the fate of our country.
The recent resignation of top allies of the current regime is seen differently by denizens here.
Well, you know, those people had been with the presidential party for so long. So I just believe that they are still with them. So it's just a masquerade to make us feel as if things will not change.
Mr. Chiroma said it himself. How can you be in a government as a state minister and there's no inter-ministerial meeting convened by the president? It's only Cameroon in the whole world, please you can fact check me, that is being ruled with strict instructions. If a minister himself is crying out that he has not seen the president for years now, what does it mean? The president is not accessible to the ministers, it's not accessible to the population.
Also, the confusion over the candidacy of the incumbent president by members of the ruling party to some signals the end of an era.
It means that the House is not united, because if the Minister of Communications says something and the spokesman of the CPDM goes ahead and says something else, it means the House is not united. For instance, how will the Secretary General of the Presidency be convening a meeting region by region in trying to galvanize voters? That's the job of Jean Nkwete. That's the job of the Secretary General of the CPDM.
All are unanimous on what will happen come October 2025. Change, and they insist it is non-negotiable.
We want a change, we want somebody else.
Most of them have their own profile of who should be president after the elections. They also say the elites who were at the presidency echoing support for President Paul Biya did not speak for them.
And on today's segment of How is Cameroon Today, we'll be taking you to the 110 kilometers Yabasi-Konjok road shortly after this short break. The people of Konjok and Yabasi are facing enormous challenges due to the deplorable state of their roads, which is causing hardship for commuters and drivers alike. With transportation costs skyrocketing, residents are crying out for urgent repairs. We have greater details with Smart Jikan Gabriel. We'll be coming on to this report on this segment of How is Cameroon Today. We'll be taking you to the 110 kilometers Yabasi-Konjok road, which is in a deplorable state, causing hardship for commuters and drivers alike. With transportation costs skyrocketing, residents are crying out for urgent repairs. Smart Jikan Gabriel takes us there.
Located in the Nkam division of the littoral region, Yabasi is a town made up of mostly farmers. But just as in other localities, the inhabitants lack accessible farm-to-market roads. The suffering begins here on commercial motorbike, which is the easiest means of transportation. During rainy and dry season, the 110-kilometer stretch of road from Yabasi to Nkonjok remains a veritable problem to road users. Arriving at the Nkomala village, we are faced with the hurdle of crossing the Maher River, as even vehicles find it difficult to cross the river since they have to wait until the water level drops before crossing. I'm a truck driver. When the water level is high, we walk with it that way. It, however, depends on the depth of the water. If it's too much, we wait, while if it's down, we cross and continue our journey. The bridge has been there for long, under construction. On the Facebook page of the Ministry of Public Works, a video was posted which showed that works were ongoing around the Maher River. But on the spot, we were told that works have stopped now for the past 3 years. As we continue the discovery, little did we know that what awaits us ahead is more than what we've already left behind. Our guide told us that we are going to meet the worst part of the road in front. And for almost 10 kilometers, it's a muddy and difficult road with deep potholes we're faced with. While commercial motorbikes are forced to drop off their passengers to ease movement. Four-wheel drives force their way through the poor roads. After the muddy road ahead of us is another steep hill known as the Bakassi Hill. Our last natural obstacle was at the River Tumbasala and its bridge. We are told that several deaths have been recorded on the bridge, and with trees falling on it, the fear is that one day the bridge will also cut off, making movement to be more difficult. Apart from the fear of trees falling on the bridge, the heavy-duty trucks passing on the bridge also weakens it. After covering 110 kilometers and spending 25,000 francs CFA on commercial motorbike, we finally arrived at Nkonjok. Though the journey was difficult, Nkonjok is an abandoned locality that links two agricultural breadbaskets of Cameroon.
And that second episode of How is Cameroon Today, done by Smart Jikangable, ends the second part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is Dr. Nick NGWANYAM, a political analyst. Good evening, Doc. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, Lady Immaculate. God bless you.
Yesterday, during a 6 p.m. primetime newscast, you stated that President Paul Biya will be a candidate in the upcoming presidential elections. Why are you so sure of this, despite his silence on the matter? And do you think it's necessary for him to run again for elections?
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, you've all observed that there's been a lot of infighting, all over the country, among political parties, among political leaders. Everybody's saying what they want to say in the opposition, in the CPDM. So there seems to be some kind of this cacophony and this diversity of ideas and emotions. And, to bring clarity and clarity to these events, and to make sure that the country doesn't go in diverse directions, President Paul Biya is going to stand. He's going to be the president in these upcoming elections in October, not because he really wanted to, but because he wants to bring the house in order and make sure that he puts everything on the rails again before he goes. So technically that is the reason. And you would have understood that the people of the North have been very vocal, about these presidential elections, because they were nursing a fear that the Secretary General at the presidency seems like he wants to take power. I don't know whether this is true or false, but that is their reading, and they have said so. And they have clearly said that they don't want any Betty again from the center, south, or east to be the next president. After all, they have been there for 43 years, and it's in other people's turns to be there. And they have been saying we want to be, Anglophones have been saying we want to be, people of the West region have been saying we want to be. But the bottom line is there have been too many problems, unsolved problems in the nation. And we are saying that if this outgoing government has been solving problems, there will not be this much hatred in the nation. Youths are angry, everybody is angry, and everybody is getting up like, okay, we just let you do things. It's not because we didn't have the capacity to. So we should understand in that light, and President Paul Biya is saying, okay, let's use a different strategy and try to see how we fix the problems in the nation and bring some cool and calm in the nation and bring some peace in the nation before I go.
Doctor, from your analysis, if President Paul Biya is re-elected, Cameroonians should expect a better Cameroon. It's been already 42 years and Cameroon is still underdeveloped. Do you really think that the head of state wasn't able to do what the head of state wasn't able to do for the past 42 years? He'll be able to do it at the age of 92?
He is coming back as a presidential candidate, and the joker will be, of course, that there will be a vice president who will be doing most of the work, and then the government will be made of 25 brand new ministers. There might be 1, 2, or 3 old faces, but let's say that will be a brand new ministers. And when you look at directors who are running corporations and the ministry in the corporations, they're not supposed to be there for more than 6 years. Some have been there for almost 30, 40 years, and so on. They are inefficient. They will all go home. So all the administrative apparatus will be renewed with people who are proactive and productive. That's the bottom line, and President Paul Biya wants to see that youths have jobs and things before he goes.
As someone from the English-speaking part of Cameroon, you better understand the challenges of the people in this region. Many say they are fed up with the current regime, as we saw in the reports done by our Buea-based correspondent Rex Afon. What are your thoughts on the expectations of the people of Anglophone Cameroon in line with the upcoming presidential elections?
Well, if you noticed, the problems of the Anglophones started sometime in 2016, and I think it's in beginning, 2017. That it got out of hand, and a couple of people were killed on the Commercial Avenue, when there was that famous meeting of CPDM that was supposed to take place. That's where the killing started. And then things just went out of hand. And you remember Prime Minister Philemon Yang was trying to bring a reasonable solution to the problems, first of all, by actually listening to people and engaging with them and trying to see where the shoe pinches. But in their usual style, there were some overzealous ministers and CPDM members who went on the air and added insult to injury by kicking people around, insulting the people who are grieving and telling their minds. And then, using the military options instead of dialogue, which today is 8-9 years now, and we are still in the ditch. So it's so unfortunate that we don't do things right, and we end up suffering for no good reason. And you know that the Major National Dialogue of September 2019 was an occasion and an opportunity to actually sincerely address that Anglophone problem and solve it. But in usual style, the Major National Dialogue turned out to be a monologue and not the dialogue that it was supposed to be. And we kept deceiving ourselves and saying we were solving the problems when we were doing the contrary. And we ended up with things like decentralization, special status, reconstruction, or whatever, bilingualism, commission, just a bunch of things that don't really work. House of Chiefs, just throwing in everything that we could lay our hands on in the soup. But we are boiling the wrong soup, we are boiling the wrong meat on the wrong fire and everything. So 8 years down the road, nothing is working. And we are saying that the new government that is coming, that President Paul Biya will put in place, and the new government that will run the government after he wins the elections, that government in 2 months will address that Anglophone problem. It will address the root causes of the problems, and it will speak in truth and love. And that will be done at a roundtable conference with no taboo subjects, with no one excluded, so that we can talk to each other like brothers and sisters, not this kind of top to bottom kind of approach which has not worked. And the bottom line, we are not even just talking about the Anglophone problems. The bottom line in leadership is to be able to tell the truth in love and solve people's problems, and you'll be okay. And that is exactly what is coming.
The Anglophone crisis has been ongoing since 2016. Despite the holding of the 2018 presidential elections, the situation remains dire, with continuous killings, kidnappings, burnings, and other atrocities still ongoing till date. Given the lack of progress over the past 7 years, what makes you think that things will suddenly change now? Doesn't this seem like mere manipulation and some sort of empty promises you are making as far as the new government of the CPDM is concerned?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. What you should always look out for. Let me start by answering the A part of the question, because you are talking of projects that were supposed to have been carried. You know, there are two sets of projects. The projects of reconstruction. Reconstruction means something was there, it was broken, and you are refixing it. And then there were other projects that were supposed to have been going on irrespective of everything and growing the nation. The bottom line is when you look at Northwest, Southwest, none of this is working. Either those that were supposed to have been carried out or the reconstruction. The reconstruction thing is a scam. That said, I had said it a long time ago what reconstruction was all about, but no one cared to listen to me. When you want to reconstruct and you want to make it work, you break your task into two. Part A, which is the most important, which is 80% of the job, is to reconstruct the people, reconstruct their mindset, reconstruct the trust that was lost between you and them, reconstruct that bond by listening attentively, by wearing their shoes and knowing where it pinches. Once you have become one in mind and spirit, when they begin to build trust towards you, then you hold their hands, and you all hold hands and say, now, we burnt down this classroom. I don't know who burnt it. Could have been the military, could have been the boys, could have been whoever. Let us together build it. And then you constitute companies that rebuild it from the people who live there. You give them the resources and they build it. You know, you don't go and import people from somewhere else to come and build. If we were doing that, starting number one, we're reconstructing the broken trust and the love we had for each other. Then before two, reconstructing the physical things, and in earnest, and doing so earnestly, things would have been very smooth. But you don't want to mend the fences with the people. You jump over their feelings and you want to go and start filling potholes in the road and pretending to be filling potholes in the road. It doesn't work. And so you turn around and then you are blaming everyone else. Oh, it's not working, and you are blaming chiefs and so on for the ghost towns and so on. You are blaming the wrong people. You should be blaming yourself for doing the wrong things. So we are saying that all these kind of wrong approaches and strategies will be corrected, and you can rest assured everything will be done.
Dr. Nick NGWANYAM, political analyst, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what put a stop to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. My team and I, from us to you over there, say have a lovely evening. Bye-bye for now.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
De lundi à vendredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
Bonsoir à tous, bienvenue sur le plateau Equinoxe Soir, votre décryptage quotidien de l'actualité de lundi à vendredi, 19h-21h.